To know that that's what I went through, and that's my family had to endure all of that. No one should have to do that. No one. I picked him up from there, and I had never been there. I had never really been down over in that area.
I told her to, when she picked up the girls, to call and let me know she made it okay and everything. And
I had stopped at the stop sign, and I'd called him, and I was asking the girls if I could go to Walmart this way.
She was just finna hang up with me, and I heard it all.
That was it. It stopped from there.
Party 1, Germantown Road and Park Highway. Germantown Road and Park Highway for a traffic accident. They are requesting extrication due to the door is unable to be opened. They state patient is currently having a seizure. First responder on scene.
We didn't know what to expect, but they did say somebody was trapped. So we knew it wasn't going to be good.
So we made the run over there, and of course it was chaos with school being let out and traffic, because there's two schools right there at the same intersection.
Once I got up to the car and walked around to the driver's side, it was obvious she was pinned in. The passenger side of the vehicle did not have much damage at all.
You can kind of tell, you know, when somebody's in really bad shape or they're just in a lot of pain. And for us, for me anyways, it looked like she was in bad shape.
The phone never went off. I actually was on the phone for a good, probably 10 minutes, just hoping to God somebody was going to pick up and say, oh, we're okay, or I guess a fireman picked the phone up and just told me, your wife's in an accident and we're here, and then he just hung the phone up.
She asked how her two family members that was in the back seat were doing, and as soon as we told her that they were going to be fine, they're being taken care of, that's when she went unresponsive.
The EMTs on the scene focus on whoever's injured. We focus on getting them out of the car.
She was so compacted up against the dash and the steering wheel that there wasn't a lot of room for the paramedics to do their job.
Vehicle can compress the injury, act like a tourniquet or a pressure point, and when you begin removing those points or that pressure, then the bleeding can exacerbate.
Told the men to get the Hurst tools, told them to cut the roof off and cut the door off so we can get access to her.
You know, we felt faint pulses in her radials. That's a clinical indication that, you know, she's pretty much going into shock.
As I went around cutting, they were getting in position to flap the roof back once we got all the posts cut. As soon as the roof came off, the medics climbed over in the car to begin stabilizing her the best they could.
She looked bad. She looked, eyes really glazed over, gray in her eyes. That death look was what I kind of describe it as.
When I looked over at my partner Alex, this look was this, she's probably not going to make it, but we're fixing to give 100%. I called Life Air because the mechanism of injury, as far as the vehicle and just the severe damage and condition the vehicle was in.
In major accidents and a patient needs a level 1 trauma center, you want to get there quick. And usually I'm in flight 10 minutes or so. It definitely helps because they would be over an hour getting here by ground. We can get there just a lot quicker.
You know then that every second can make a difference.
I had another EMT come and help me out. We actually moved her onto a spine board. She obviously had some pelvis injuries going on, which if you're in the medical field, you know pretty quick that alone can end a life just from blood loss.
Right when we was getting her out, the helicopter got there.
So me and Christy ran to the scene to try to see what we had, what we were going to be dealing with. Took a closer look at her. We noticed some bruising in her abdominal area. First I sedated and paralyzed her with the medicines, and then Christy was able to insert an airway.
You hope you got them out fast enough. You hope you did your job, whether it be 1 minute sooner, would have made a difference.
When I see that helicopter lift up and go, it always makes me feel good because I know it's going to LSU, and if there's any chance at all to make it, they got it.
I got the phone call about halfway there. It said she was being airlifted and things wasn't looking good.
We had 2 of the nurses from the ER meet us up there to breathe for the patient. Somebody else might be doing CPR. You're on the 11th floor when he lands. We got to go down 11 floors on the elevator and hurry up and get her to the trauma room there.
Her condition on arrival was life and death. She was, in our terms, coding on arrival.
The first thing that happened was she rolled into our code room and we began to, get a better idea what injuries that she had.
I quickly did ultrasound of her heart. Her heart was not beating. And looking at the abdomen with ultrasound, she had a lot of blood in her abdomen. There was blood everywhere.
Start to replace some of that as quickly as you can and identify the source of the bleeding.
You could tell that it wasn't good. She had her color was different, and her whole body was kind of swelled up. I guess everything starts flashing before your eyes. You start realizing how bad it really was.
We got there and he was sitting there in the waiting room and said, she's pretty bad. She's not going to make it.
They continued to say that she had no cardiac activity. She was, for all intents and purposes, dead at that point. Dr. Yusuf came towards the head of the bed and made the decision to open up her chest, or as we call in the ER, it's called cracking the chest. And I've been part of the team that's cracked many chests in the ER, but I've only seen 3 that have left the ER and went to the operating room and made it out to the SICU. Dr. Yusuf took both hands and reached into Susanna's chest cavity and basically takes the heart in his hands and begins to do pumping motions on both sides of her heart. I remember checking a carotid pulse, which is up in the neck region. Thought I could feel a very faint pulse activity. With her, it was I think I've got something.
I was planning to clamp the aorta to stop any bleeding down, just occlude the aorta with the clamp, but because her heart was beating very strongly, I know if I put the clamp right now, her heart will fail, and that's it.
It was determined that she was losing a large amount of blood into her lower abdomen and her pelvis area. The next thing I remember is packaging her and preparing her for the OR.
They actually come in and told us that there wasn't anything they could do and wanted us to go in there and say our goodbyes, and we all just went in and gathered around her and talked to her and just pretty much told her that she wasn't going yet.
I remember 2 people on the back side of her bed going like this, and had 2 things of blood, and they were just steadily pumping the blood to her. And I just hit the floor. I started crying, and I couldn't bear to see it.
I think like the family, I hate to let her go. I want to do as much as possible. I hate to let someone go or someone die in my hands. Even if I don't have control over that, I do my best to bring him back to life.
Even after, them telling us that she wasn't going to make it, they kept on and they kept on, and they never gave up.
Before I stopped, she started to move her fingers. So I knew her brain is working. So I decided at that point to continue more. I got more blood from the blood bank, and I continued, and I consider that is a miracle or something I did not experience before.
We have to be thankful for the people that donated blood because you can only get so much that's not type specific. So it was just, just really a miracle that there was that much blood. 80 units is a lot of blood.
We thought she was very fragile at that time, but we wanted to make sure if she was going to make a recovery that the brain was all right. So when we did the CAT scan, she had some fresh blood in the brain, so we were worried about that. That could get worse. And since she was going to have so many procedures done to her, we wanted to be extremely safe. So what we did is put a little bolt monitor that we call it, a little fiber optic thing that you put inside the brain, and it gives you a number what the brain pressure should be. You can read the numbers, you can treat it. Fortunately, her numbers were great, so we didn't keep it in long. I think we removed it in 26 hours or so, and that was it.
So when she came to me, I had to fix her pelvic and acetabular fracture. That violence of the impact created a major laceration, so her internal organs were exposed to the outside. Almost a miracle, I would say, that she made it to that point.
Her blood pressure started to be more stable. Her body started to respond again and work on its own.
You know, you could finally sit down and breathe.
I actually wrote to her every night. You know, I'd sit in that waiting room and write what was going on, you know, and how everything was going. Because I knew whenever she woke up, I wouldn't be able to explain it all to her, you know. We all ran to her bedside, the whole family. The first thing I did was get in her ear, telling her how much I love her, how wonderful she is. Don't leave me, baby. Please don't leave me.
I remember waking up, I guess about a week and a half later, and my family standing around me. It was heartbreaking and very, very scared because he was crying, and my little girl, my oldest little girl, Brooklyn, and I just sat there and cried together.
There's a lot of heartache and sadness that come out of the ER, but when you find out of a case like Susanna's, it gives me goosebumps.
They all called her a miracle child, because she was.
They told the family that if I would have had the accident a week prior, that they wouldn't have had enough blood to give me. Dr. Randy said that I would walk with a limp, and I do, but a limp is better than not walking at all.
It was awesome to see her, you know, get up, you know, and walk around and get to go outside and not sit down and have somebody push you, you know. She could go by herself.
We went outside, me and her did, and I got a picture of her being outside and wind blowing her hair, and it was a real good feeling, you know. I knew she was going to be all right from then on.
The reason why I'm here is because of God and because of everyone's quick reaction and doing what they do every day.
Being part of the team that did work on her to save her life, it feels good. Nothing in the world can feel like that.
I really don't feel like it's myself helping to save her life. I feel like it's a team effort.
They could have any time said that, you know, she's not going to make it and gave up, but they never gave up, and that's what saved her life.
It makes me feel wonderful. It makes me feel like what I do every day is important and it matters.
And when I see the patient and their family and so on, that they can walk and they can move and so on, it's very rewarding.
If it wasn't for those people, she wouldn't be here, but she's still here, and I want to thank every one of them.
We're very blessed that we can make a difference in a small way in people's lives, and I think that's a wonderful blessing, and I never take that for granted.
That's what you get up for every morning. You know, you see what little part of her life you made a difference in.
To be able to see my kids one more time, to be able to spend one more birthday and one more Christmas with my children, I'm very thankful that they love to put a family back together again. I'm very thankful for that.